And in function, the very basic thing is the concept of domain and range. In our AS level, we have specific type of question, and where when we learn those specific types, so you'll be at better position to specify the domain and the range. Like the concept of domain was it is the value of x, and the value of x mean the value which we can suppose by ourselves. We call it independent variable. Value of y is basically depending upon the value of x, so we call it dependent variable. And always the dependent variable is known as range value. We consider one question, and I told you specific types of the question. Like I'll start it with this type number one. In type number one, we learned that we'll have the question of the form of root, like root of x, root of x minus 2, root of minus x. So these would be different functions. Okay, in all the questions of this type will have same way of writing the domain, and that same way is we take the square root of the term which is inside the bracket. Okay, all right. So in this type of question, whatever the expression you'll be given inside the bracket, you write it with the inequality. I mean, whatever the term is given inside the bracket, you write it with greater or equal sign. In this example, the function was root of x. So inside the root we have x. So x would be greater or equal to 0. So as we know that value of x is domain, so we say that it is domain. For another example, if we have root of minus x, so minus x will be written with this greater or equal sign. Okay, so this is the domain. So when you make the simplification, you would know that domain would be less or equal to 0. So in the next example, x minus 2, just look at this. Inside the bracket we have x minus 2. What do? We simply write the term with greater or equal to 0, and when you simplify it, you'll get the domain. Okay, so this is the concept of domain of this type of question. This was type number 1,
One.
right?
Right.
Okay. So the type number 2 would be of the form of the reciprocal function. Reciprocal function are the functions where you find the variable in the denominator. It is possible that we have the variable in the numerator as well, but our main concern would be the variable x in the denominator. Then we always try to find at which value of x we are getting the phenomena which is undefined. Okay, which is undefined. As you
Yes.
see in this, like x is not equal to 0. Next example is f of x is equal to 1 over x square minus 7x plus 12. It is a quadratic expression, and we know that if quadratic expression can be splitted into two factors, so we do it by splitting the middle term, and we get two factors, x minus 3 and x minus 4. So what do we say? It is 3 minus 3, which is 0, and 3 minus 4, it is minus 1. I mean, x will not be equal to 3, will not be equal to 4, because at one time we'll take one variable. So at one time we'll get the
Because
phenomena which is undefined. Domain would be all values of x except x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 4, right? So this would be the domain. So the third type of the question would be the question which have the both. type of the question, like containing the root term and containing the reciprocal term. In this example, 1 over x minus 2, as x is not equal to 2, so x minus 2, because inside the bracket we have x minus 2, we write it with greater or equal sign, and when you simplify it you'll get x is greater or equal to 2, and this inequality explains like 2 would be included in the domain value. But when you substitute this 2 in the question, so you would find that 2 minus 2 becomes undefined phenomena. So
Yes.
we do the same step, but simply we omit this equality in this greater or equal sign. So domain would be just greater than 2, not equal to 2. What about D part? What would be the domain of D part?
For the find the largest possible domain of each of the, it would be all the values below zero.
Now
Oh, okay.
4, it is 4 minus x. So the first step
Oh,
is,
oh, oh,
mhm,
I'm solving B. Oh, okay. For D,
it's
x cannot be x cannot be 5 or x cannot be any value greater than 4
okay. And how did you find this?
because if you do if I tried the values greater than 4 and the answer was
Undefined.
there was
That's
no
right.
answer, so x must be all the values below.
5. So it's a question of type 1. In type 1, whatever the expression given inside the root, just write them 4 minus x, put greater or equal to 0. So when you simplify it, this would be this one. When you cancel this minus sign, inequality will change. This is the domain. This is our required answer.
Oh,
Because it
okay.
is difficult to find out the, if we consider different numerical values and see are we getting the answer. Maybe you'll not be able to write the exact domain. The best way for this type of the question is write the term which is inside the root, and with greater or equal sign you'll get the answer. Okay. What about E and F part? X is greater than 4 or maybe equal to 4, and x is greater than 0. If you hit on the number line that x is greater or equal to 4 mean this arrow will explain all the numbers which are greater than 4, and x is greater than 0 mean you'll have this term. It means the number which are greater than 0 will consider in the question. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's
Okay.
see if we take one. Uh, so can we get some answer in this question?
If we take one, then no, the answer
So
would
there's a
be
problem
error.
in answer. This is a concept which we have learned. The first thing is the inside root is x into x minus 4. We put them greater or equal to 0. If you open the bracket, you would observe that it is a quadratic expression, and for quadratic expression, we write the inequality with equal sign. We just pose it, and when you simplify it, you'll know that you'll get two answers, 0 and 4, and write these two answer in form of inequality. Draw a quadratic sketch. One answer is 0 and other answer is 4. Inequality is greater than 0 mean the positive y-axis. Whenever we have positive y-axis, we take different horizontal lines which will cross the positive y-axis. So definitely it will cross the graph. So the point of
Yes.
intersection explains that one of the answer is correct, like your answer would be greater or equal to 4. So x is greater or equal to 4. But when you look at the other answer, so you would observe that your answer is lying on negative part of x-axis, which is the less than 0. And less than 0 mean if I shade this region, this will just explain that all the values which are less than 0. So inequality would be less or equal to 0. So this is how we write the domain. I mean, we have applied the concept of quadratic inequality because we have the situation which is in the
Oh,
form of inequality. Okay, the quadratic inequalities we have to apply it over here. Let's move to another question. Mm, okay, G part.
so if I solve this, then I would get. So I got x is greater than 4 and less than 3.
Greater or equal to 4 and less or equal to 3.
Yes.
Greater than or equal to 4. Its answer would be x is greater or equal to 4 and less or equal to 3. I mean, equality would be there. Is it clear?
Yes.
Because whenever you write the term which is inside the square root, so you have to write it with greater or equal sign.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Part number L, last part.
So x is all the values not equal to 1 and not equal to 2.
Okay. Yes, all the values of x which are not equal to 1 and 2. All right. So this was the concept which we have discussed in our previous class in detail. With domain,
Yes.
we also have to learn about the concept of range. So in this question, find the domain of these functions are set of real positive numbers. It means we have been restricted up to positive domain. I mean the positive x-axis. Find their range. If we need to find the range of a function, the best way of finding the range of the function is just sketch the graph. In this example, we have two kind of graph, like in part number A, B, C. Yes, in first three parts we'll have a straight line, okay, and the D, E, and F. Next three parts are of the quadratic form. Let's see how to find the range of this linear line. Like part number A, f of x is equal to 2x plus 7 for sketch, and for straight line you have to do two step, x intercept, y intercept. So this is x intercept. X intercept mean, so this is y intercept. So for y intercept we put x is equal to 0, we'll get value of this. And then for x intercept, I mean for straight line you have to do these two steps. And in this way you'll be able to draw a line. And we have got the point when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 7, and when y was 0, x is equal to minus 3.5. So minus 3.5 mean 1, 2, and 3, and this is 4. This is the point. When you join this with this point, so this part of x is on negative side of x-axis, and we need to take positive values of x. It means
Okay.
we will not consider this part of the line. Number one. positive domain are greater than 0, not equal to 0. Okay, so whenever we are asked to write the positive numbers, so all the positive numbers are greater than 0. It means we have supposed in this example x is equal to 0, and our restricted domains gives us idea that we cannot take x is equal to 0. Okay, but what do we
Okay.
do? We take value of x is equal to 0, and definitely will get some value of y, as we have in this question y is equal to 7. So we put this open circle. This open circle explains that as x is not included, x is equal to 0 is not included, so the answer against 0 will also not be included in our step. So we put it equal to 0. I mean, y is not equal to 0, y is not equal to 7. It would be greater than 7. And you know that greater than 7 can have any number. The simplest approach is the number which are
Yes.
greater than 7 is 8, 9, 10. But at this level, we'll think that the number which are greater than 7 is maybe 7.1, maybe 7.01, 7.0001. I mean, the number which is slightly greater than 7 is also considered as greater than 7. We say that 7.01 is greater than 7, 7.0001 is greater than 7. So
Yes.
we cannot figure out exact one number for greater than 7. So what do? We put a circle. This circle explains that only this 7 is not included, but other than 7 would be included. So this line, this part of the line, because this is a solid line explains that rest of the values will be considerable. Okay, range is basically value of y. So you would find the smallest value of y of the graph, or the greatest value of y of the graph. As we can see that our line is moving up, and this arrow explains that this line has no upper limit. It is moving on and on. So we'll go to opposite side of this arrow, and where we'll find the smallest value of range, and smallest value of range is 7. So when we write them inequality, we write it y is greater than 7 as domain is positive. I mean, x is greater than 0. Okay, 7 is not included, 7 greater than 7 is considered. D part is f of
X
x
square
is
minus 1.
equal to x square minus 1. You know, let me refresh the concept of this quadratic expression. Can we write x square minus 1 in the form of completing square?
Um, yes.
What is that completing square form?
X minus half square minus 1 square.
No,
No, minus 1 over 2 square.
no.
Uh,
I just want you to tell me the form of x minus h whole square plus k. Can we write this expression in the form of this?
yes.
Hmm.
It would be x minus 1 over 2 square.
See, it is x square. Can I write x square as x minus 0 whole square and minus 1? Will 0 make any difference?
If we write 0,
Hmm.
um, no, it won't make
So
any
can
difference. It
we
would be
get the
this.
previous step? Can we get previous step if we omit this 0?
Yes, we can.
I simply write x minus 0 because I know that 0 will not make any difference, but I can get the benefit of this type of question just to know the turning point, and the turning point is 0 minus 1. Can I
Yes.
write this turning point 0 minus 1?
Yes.
Because this h is equal to 0, this k is equal to minus 1.
Yes, that would be correct.
Okay. Now, for quadratic expression, to find the range, we'll have to sketch the graph. For sketch the graph, we need a turning point. That's why I was asking this completing square form, because from the completing square form, we'll be able to find the turning point. So turning point is 0 and minus 1. I would say that this is minus 1. This is the point 0 and minus 1 turning point. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Our domain restriction is positive value of x. It means our graph will move from this turning point to right side of the portion. The right side of the portion. Clear?
Yes. Right.
Okay. As we say that positive value of x, so it means x is just greater than 0. I mean, in turning point we have x is equal to 0 and minus 1. As x is not equal to 0, this implies that y will not be equal to minus 1. As x is not equal to 0, so it means we are considering, according to the question, x is greater than 0. If x is greater than 0, then y will depend upon the shape of the graph. As graph is moving to right side of, okay, of x axis, I mean it's moving up. When it is moving up, so we can see that with the different values of x, we'll see that our y will increase. So y would be greater than minus 1. Number one,
Yes.
this is the way. If you get the idea from this way, it's okay. Otherwise, we need, we have restriction positive x-axis. So we sketch the graph towards positive x-axis. Number one. And to find the range, we take the smallest value of this graph, which is this one. Okay. So
Okay.
for range, we write y is greater than minus 1. Will not put equality sign because x is not equal to 0. So this is the range. The simplest way of finding the range is sketch the graph and find the smallest value of graph or the largest value of the graph. So as this question is showing that our graph is moving up. If graph is moving up, definitely moving up mean it is moving up to no upper limit. We have no idea at which point this graph will stop. So we'll go to the opposite side of this graph. That would be the smallest value of the graph. And smallest value of the graph would be our range. And that would be, I mean, range is not a single number. Like y is not equal to minus 1. Y is greater than minus 1.
Oh,
Greater than minus 1 mean we'll take different values of y. Find the range of each of the following function. All the functions are defined for all real values of x. We have no restriction for domain. Okay, all the real
okay.
values of x. All the real values of x mean it could be positive, it could be negative. It means we can take any value of x. So no fear, no confusion. There is no restriction for the domain. Simply find the range, and for range we have to plot the graph. Y is
Okay.
equal to x square plus 4. Okay, what is the completing square form of this graph?
Uh, x minus 0 square plus 4. So the turning point would be 0 and 4.
Very good, very good. So turning point is 0 and 4. So if we simply plot the graph, it will solve our situation 0 and 4. Let us suppose I'll say that this is 4, this is 8, this is the turning point. We can take value of x, we can take positive value of x and negative value of x. So it make our concept is bit easier. We can plot the graph on the right side of this turning point and left side of this turning point. So no restriction, so no tension. All you need to write for the range value is the as graph is moving up, it means the lower part of graph is this turning point which is 0 and 4. So range for this question is y is greater or equal to 4.